Dear learners, I welcome you all to a new session on marriage analysis. As you know, it's a very vast topic and it has been discussed in detail in our book, How to Analyze Married Life. Some of the key topics covered in this book are combinations for happy married life, compatibility analysis, why there is delay or sometimes denial of marriage, what are the impacts of various afflictions, what is the impact of Mangalik dosha, are there any combinations for early widowhood in charts of females, or are there any important precautions we can take to avoid divorce or inharmonious relationships. So these topics have been discussed in detail in the book, and today in this video we will be covering the topic inordinate delay or denial of marriage. We will discuss this through some typical case studies. Let's see the presentation. This book is based on systems approach for interpreting horoscopes, and you will find all relevant factors and facets of married life covered in this book, right from matching to progeny issues. The key topics when we want to analyze marital aspects in a birth chart, what are the key topics? What are the key factors we have to watch out for? Number one is the prime determinants of marriage. Then the role of divisional charts. The divisional chart which is pertinent for marriage is Navamsa, the 9th division, D9. Then the situation or strength of significators for marriage. Then comes the role of secondary determinants of marriage. What are the secondary determinants? And then we synthesize the impacts and see what factors indicate delay or denial. And in the end, we put some thought on the Mangalik dosha, the traditional concept versus the systems approach take on Mangalik dosha. So first and the foremost important thing in this analysis is prime determinants of marriage. The systems approach for interpreting horoscopes gives you an idea of which planet is the prime determinant or main determinant of marital issues in a chart. So how do we decide on the prime determinant? It's a methodical process. It's a laid down process. First prime importance is given to the 7th house lord. If there is no Multrikona sign in 7th house, then we go to 2nd house. If at all there is no Multrikona sign in 2nd house as well, then we go to the 4th house. And when even 4th house doesn't contain a Multrikona, then the Multrikona sign falling in 8th house, that lord is treated as prime determinant of marital issues in the chart. So as you can see, Aries, in Aries, Venus is the 7th lord, so it's prime determinant. In Taurus, there is no empty sign in 7th, so Sun becomes the prime determinant as it's a 4th house lord. In Gemini, the 7th lord Jupiter. For Cancer, no 7th lord, no 4th lord. The 2nd house lord Sun becomes the prime determinant. For Leo, 7th lord Saturn. So on and so forth. For Sagittarius, there is no Multrikona sign in 7th, 2nd or 4th. So 8th, lord of 8th house, the moon becomes the prime determinant of marriage. So it's very important planet to identify in a chart, because we have to first look at the strength of prime determinant and placement and position of prime determinant in the main chart as well as in the divisional chart. The role of Navamsa, role of D9 is also very important in studying the marital aspects in detail. Suppose in Navamsa, the ascendant rising is Sagittarius. So Jupiter. Sagittarius is the Multrikona sign of Jupiter. So Jupiter will become additional prime determinant. it will carry more weight in comparison to the significators of marriage or secondary significators of marriage. First role is of prime determinant, then comes the additional prime determinant. Suppose there is no Multrikona sign rising in the D9 ascendant, then there is no additional prime determinant for marriage. We do not account for the non-Multrikona sign and lord or planet placed in the ascendant of D9. Afflictions to the ascendant D9 are very important. Affliction, from which planet we will consider afflictions? The functional malefic planets with respect to the ascendant of D9. Suppose D9, Sagittarius rises in the D9, so the only planets which can cause affliction to the D9 ascendant are Moon, the 8th lord, the 12th lord. There is no 12th lord, so Moon, Rahu and Ketu. So lord of ascendant is additional prime determinant. And what are the impacts on the ascendant? As we saw, the functional malefic planets of D9 depend on the ascendant of D9. We should not get confused by the functional malefic planets of main chart. They are relevant only for the impacts in the main chart and not in the divisional chart. So in divisional chart, the set of functional malefic planets is different. That depends on the ascendant of D9. And when we want to study in detail the nature of spouse, or we want to make out more about the spouse, what he will be like, or what she will be doing, or some working, some in business or some other thing, then we see the position of 7th house lord in the main chart and the lord of D9. Impacts on the ascendant of D9. They play a role in identifying the nature and position of husband or wife in a chart. Now, what are the secondary determinants? We saw prime determinants, the ascendant wise prime determinants we enumerated in a table. Then we saw additional prime determinant, the lord of D9. Then comes the secondary determinants of marriage. What are the planets which are secondary determinants? First is the place of planets occupying the houses indicating marriage. Houses, which houses indicate marriage, or which houses is connected with marriage? These are 2nd, 4th, 7th, 8th and 12th. So 2nd house family, 4th house domestic peace, 7th house spouse, 8th house marital tie, and 12th house staying together of couple or bed comforts. So these 5 houses are basic houses signifying marriage. Now marriage can, when you talk about timing of marriage, so marriage can also take place in the sub-periods of strong planets ruling these houses, or planets connected to these houses by placement or aspect, or when slow moving planets are transiting these houses, benefic planets transiting, say Jupiter, Saturn, or some other planet having prolonged transit in marriage related houses, or staying close to the MEP, they also trigger the marriage. Then comes the fourth aspect, ruling thing is the significators of marriage. They are fixed. Significators for marriage are fixed irrespective of the ascendant. In male charts, the significator is women. For women is Venus, and in female chart, the significator of husband is Jupiter. So for women, Jupiter is the significator for marriage, and for men, Venus is the significator for marriage. Now we see how different houses play a role in marriage, like the role of 4th house. It is very important. The lord of 4th house, if ascendant is such that there is a Multrikona sign in 4th house, so it plays a very important role, as it acts as initiator of marriage. And timeliness, whether it will be on time or delayed, 4th house plays a very important role, because it establishes the household of the person. So 4th house lord containing Multrikona signs is seen for initiation of marriage, happening of marriage in the first place. Initiating and timeliness of marriage is seen from the 4th house, if at all it is having a Mool Trikona sign. It rules, as you know, in systems approach, there is a concept of most benefic planet also. So in most benefic planet also, fourth house lord is the first benefic. So it rules assets, domestic peace, cohesiveness in family, happiness in relationship, which ultimately leads to satisfaction and contentment in life. Now, when planet ruling fourth house becomes debilitated in a malefic house, that is the cause of numerous problems, severe conflicts, serious complications, differences, divorce, or even inordinate delay, or even it denies marriage. Like a debilitated moon for Aries. When Aries ascendant rises, the fourth lord becomes moon and it gets debilitated into the eighth house. So bad placement and debilitation of fourth lord causes tremendous problems, and it is indicative if moon placed in debilitation in Aries rising is say of 0 degree or utter old age at 28-29 degrees, and in combustion or is suffering on multiple accounts in D9 also, then it indicates even denial of marriage. For sun, for Taurus, sun becomes fourth lord, and when it gets debilitated in sixth house, so it indicates severe conflicts, troubles, divorce in marriage. And if that sun is degree wise also, dignity wise also 0 degrees or 29 degrees, then sometimes it doesn't even give marriage. So degree of planet is important, whether the things will fructify or not. And if planet is in good degree or middle of sign or strong degrees, then the linkage is through troubles. Eighth house is inordinate delay or denial. Sixth house is more of conflicts, divorce, problems, differences. And if Scorpio rises in the ascendant, so Saturn becomes fourth house lord. So fourth house lord, when Saturn becomes, so it goes into debilitation in the sixth house. So similar, like Taurus, Saturn, the fourth lord in sixth house, so it indicates conflicts, dispute, disturbances, troubles, ultimately litigations which lead to divorce. So role of fourth house, when fourth lord is debilitated in a bad placement also, that is a sure shot combination for deep troubles in married life. Then we come to the role of second house. Second house is also very important. Second house rules family. It rules male progeny also, because it rules continuance of family name, family line, whether this family will have a heir and its name will continue. And it is very important for strengthening of bond. It's a family. It's not a family. Second house signifies family, a new family which is established after the marriage of the person. And it doesn't mean the existing family which includes parents. The role of second house starts from self-generated assets in life, accumulations out of self-generated money, savings, and the family which is established after the marriage of the native. So when second house lord becomes debilitated in a bad house, in a malefic house, like for Gemini rising natives, moon becomes debilitated in sixth house. So that is, and fourth house for Geminis is Mercury, Virgo, so which is generally weak in transit. So when moon also is natally compromised in strength due to debilitation in sixth house, it is also a very typical combination for marital disputes and divorce. So strongly indicates conflicts. And for Leo rising, the second lord is Mercury, and when it gets debilitated in eighth house, that also indicates inordinate delay. Suppose Mercury, the lord of second house, is in the eighth house in Pisces, it's debilitated, so it indicates very long delays. And if it is combust as well, which it remains for most of the time, or it's at 0 degree or 29 degree, or is suffers from other weaknesses also, then that indicates severe obstructions and even denial of marriage. because for Leos, there is no Mool Trikona sign in the 4th house. So second house is very important for timeliness of marriage. No doubt that prime determinant of marriage for Leo is 7th house. That will decide on the position of husband, nature of husband, and other things. But in first place, the happening of marriage will depend more on the second lord. Then comes the role of 12th house. 12th house is also very important in marriage because it primarily rules the staying together of a married couple. When after marriage, whether the couple will stay together, will have good intimacy, good understanding, as it signifies bed comforts and sound sleep. So when rest all planets are okay, 2nd, 4th, 7th, but 12th house is very weak, or it is placed in 8th house, then the understanding between the couple is poor. And if it is degree wise very weak and is placed in a malefic house as well, then afflicted, and it is afflicted as well, or the afflictions are close to the MEP of 12th house, then that indicates separation of couple. And that is not necessary that it leads to a divorce kind of situation, but that separation is not necessarily due to conflicts or problems, but sometimes the circumstances becomes such that they have to live separately, they have to move away, they have to live at different locations within a country also, due to some job necessities or necessities, some other circumstances, like one has to support parents who are in need and they are not being taken care of, or someone is only child and they have to stay with the parents. So sometimes situations are created like that when 12th house is weak, even if the persons are, if the couple is not, they do not have any differences, they are emotionally close, but they are not able to stay together at one place. Now, what are the main reasons of delay or denial in marriage? The one in systems approach, it is very easy to point out whether there would be a delay or denial, or what would be the level of problems. That will depend on the level of afflictions and the strength of planet. If the strength of planet is poor, degree wise it is 0 or 29, then, and badly placed as well, or debilitated as well, then the things get inordinately delayed, or when the person is not lucky to get remedies at the right time, then even that results in denial of the marriage. So first reason for delay in marriage is the close influence of functional malefic planets on the prime determinant of marriage. That can be from functional malefic planets like Rahu, Ketu, 6th Lord, 12th Lord, or the most malefic planet. When most malefic planet afflicts the prime determinant, it delays inordinately. Or if the prime determinant is very weak as well or badly placed as well, then it results in complete denial. Second reason for delay in marriage is position of significator of marriage, whether it is weak, badly placed, or afflicted. Suppose for female charts, Jupiter is debilitated, placed in a malefic house and is afflicted also. So that also can cause delay. Even if the prime determinant otherwise is okay, not very strong, but okay, having good strength, say about 55, 56%, 55, 60%, then also when significator of marriage is very badly afflicted or weak with the FMP or MMP, then that can also lead to inordinate delays. So when prime determinants and secondary significators are weak or afflicted, when lords of 4th, 8th, 12th houses containing a Mutra are weak, badly placed, are afflicted. So we have discussed all the reasons which can be result in delay or denial. Delay is caused by lesser afflictions and some strength is there in the planet getting the afflictions, or the problem is only of some weakness and there is no affliction. When the weakness is there and simultaneously affliction is there, then also some delay is there, but not denial. But when afflictions are multiple and weaknesses are multiple, and that too combined with degree-wise weakness of planet and bad placement, then that is a complete disaster. Then that is remedying that thing is very difficult. So let us see some examples. The first chart, this chart, Virgo rises in the ascendant, and it's a chart of male. So significator of marriage in this case is Venus, because it's a male chart. And prime determinant for Virgos is also Venus, because there is no Multrikona sign in 7th house. So second lord Venus is the prime determinant. In Capricorn, in subdivision, in divisional D9, Capricorn rises in the ascendant. So there is no additional prime determinant. Rahu Ketu axis is well placed and is not causing any affliction in this chart. Venus, the prime determinant and significator in this case, is utterly weak and severely afflicted. It's combust, it's badly placed, it is receiving affliction from two planets. It is sandwiched between Sun and Mars. Sun is lord of 12th house losses, and Mars is the lord of 8th house, the strong obstructions and denial. Here, other planets ruling marriage are Jupiter, the 4th house lord. That is also badly placed in 8th house. Then 6 planets, if you carefully see, 6 planets are badly placed. Lord of marital tie, 8th lord is marital tie. That has gone to the house of losses. So marital tie is connected with losses, and it is afflicted by the 12th lord, Sun. So this person got a reading, but never. He got reading twice in last 1.5 years, but he never followed remedies. And if you carefully analyze the dasha periods of this person, he was born in Ketu dasha, Mahadasha, and then he has seen the Venus main period, complete 20 years. Then he saw Sun's main period, complete Sun period, and now he is in Moon main period. So Venus and Sun both are compromised from family point of view, and from he went abroad to study, but then also he could not settle there and came back, and now he is doing some job here, but he is not able to find a good match. So it is on the verge of kind of say denial of marriage chart. If he doesn't follow remedies in say another year, 1 year, then sub periods of malefic planets will start and problems will be compounded. Now we see another chart. This chart belongs to a female. So significator, marriage significator is Jupiter. Prime determinant planet in this case is also Venus, as Venus is the lord of 7th house. So 7th house lord Venus, and Jupiter is the significator as a female chart. Now 4th house lord is Moon. Moon is in exact conjunction with Ketu in the 3rd house. So Rahu Ketu axes are exactly at the 4th lord. So timing of marriage, the initiation of marriage is the role being played by here is Moon, and Moon is absolutely in exact affliction. And additional prime determinant also here in D9, Virgo rises, so Mercury becomes additional prime determinant. Here Mercury is exalted in natal chart, but it is weak due to combustion, and it is afflicting the lord of emotions also. So the person is headstrong, self-willed, and not very flexible. In 7th lord, Venus, 7th lord, and significator of marriage, Jupiter, both are weak. Jupiter is placed in the house of Sun, and Venus is at 3 degrees in the house of Sun. So Venus is also suffering on multiple accounts. All marriage significator planets are weak, but well placed. In this case, well placed. They are well placed. Venus is well placed, Jupiter is well placed, Moon is well placed. Though it is afflicted and the other two are weak, but they are well placed. Marriage got delayed due to weaknesses and affliction of Moon. But since if the planets are in good placement and at degrees, good degrees, so with the remedies and SPK, the special power cards she wore, and she performed the remedies with dedication. So marriage was solemnized in November 2019. So you see, when 4th lord is very strongly afflicted like this, the marriage got delayed. But since planets, the fourth lord, seventh lord, and significant are well placed, and two of them are just weak and are not suffering from affliction, the marriage happened. It didn't go into complete denial kind of thing. She was married at about 29 years of age. Now we see another chart here. This chart belongs to a male. So significator of marriage here is Venus, and prime determinant planet for Piscean is 7th house lord Mercury. So lord of 7th house Mercury, the prime determinant is in utter infancy. It's at just at 1 degree and 32 minutes. And the most important aspect in this chart is the affliction of the 12th lord. 12th lord is exactly afflicting the MEP of the 10th house, 4th house, 7th house. So two main houses, the 7th house and 4th house, are suffering from close affliction of Saturn, which rules losses, and that creates obstructions and delays the things. It's whenever lot of loss is associated with a particular MEP, all the significations of that house go to loss. They are connected with loss, expenses, delays. So here Sun is strongly afflicting 4th house and 7th house. So in a way, Mercury is also suffering from because in Mercury's sub period or main period, the affliction of Saturn gets triggered, which is very strong. And Rahu, Ketu are also on near the MEP. So they also afflict all even signs, especially the 7th house. So 7th house is suffering from two afflictions of Saturn and Rahu, and 7th lord itself is weak. The only thing is the 7th lord is well placed. Now, another important planet for marriage is the 2nd lord Mars. That is placed in the 9th house, in a benefic house, and that house suffers, though that house suffers from the affliction of Ketu due to 9th aspect on 5th aspect on 9th house, but Mars loses some strength. So marriage, all marriage significators are well placed. In this chart also, no planet is in bad placement. Marriage got inordinately delayed due to weakness of Mercury, as you see the prime determinant, and the affliction of Saturn, strong exact affliction of Saturn, which weakens Jupiter as well, because it afflicts both the house of placement of Jupiter, that is 4th house, and the Multrikona sign house of Jupiter, that is the 10th house. The only silver lining with the remedies in such cases is that with remedies, the placement of all planets in good houses and placement of 2nd lord in 9th house gives good hope that with remedies and performance of remedies and wearing of Kavach and strengthening Mercury, Moon, Jupiter, and Mars, the things can work out. Let's hope so. Let's see another chart. In this chart belongs to a female. So the significator of marriage will be Jupiter, and prime determinant of marriage also for Scorpions is Jupiter. So Jupiter is playing two roles, the prime determinant planet and significator. And you see the position of Jupiter is in the 8th house. So it suffers from delays, inordinate delays, when it is placed in the most malefic house. So additional prime determinant is Mercury as D9, as the lord of D9, and it is badly placed in main chart also, and in D9 also it is placed in 12th house. So prime determinant and additional prime determinant both are weak and badly placed. The lord of 4th house here is initiation and timeliness of marriage. When 4th house contains Multrikona sign, first go to 4th house. So 4th house is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is placed in the 3rd house, though it is in Capricorn, but it is at just 1 degree 33 minutes, like Mercury in the earlier chart. So here Saturn is having just 30% strength, but it is in a sun-like house, so it has some additional strength also. So 25%. So say the combined strength goes up to 37-38%. 12th lord Venus. 12th lord Venus is also well placed in exaltation in 5th house in the house of emotion, but it connects the house of emotions with the loss. So wherever a person gets emotionally attached, the things go away from him or her. So it is, but surprisingly, it is under the exact influence of Ketu. So the 12th house, the staying together of a couple even after marriage, that is also that is compromised in this chart because there is strong affliction of Ketu. So this girl consulted for inordinate delay and she was not able to find a right match. She did continuous remedies. She wore a special purpose kavach and did continuous remedies for about a year. And then she got married at the age of 29 years. And at that time, transit Jupiter was in ascendant. The second lord was transiting Scorpio, ascendant. And fourth lord, which is important, fourth lord was transiting second house, the Sagittarius. So both slow moving planets were transiting good houses connected with marriage. And when Jupiter was transiting ascendant, it was impacting, it was hovering around the MEP for quite some time, aspecting 7th house, 5th house. So now we have seen 4 charts with different ascendants: Virgo, Pisces, Scorpio, and Aries, and how the role is played in case of inordinate delay or denial of marriage, or when the remedies could give the marriage. So let's move to another topic, that is Mangalik dosha. Mangalik dosha is a very dreaded concept. In Mangalik dosha, they say the spouse will die within a year of marriage or things like that. Very drastic combinations. Now let's see what is the classical concept. Classical concept of Mangalik dosha is when Mars is placed in 1st, 2nd, 4th, 7th, 8th or 12th house, either from ascendant or from moon. So say moon is not placed in ascendant, so it covers almost all positions. So, and some modern astrologers they also include the position of Mars from taking Venus, starting from Venus. So this way, more than 80% of human beings will be graded as Mangalik. That is audacious. That is not true. Though in classical astrology, there are some exceptions. For ascendants like Aries and Scorpio, they say there is no Mangal dosha because Aries and Scorpio are ruled by Mars. And for Cancer and Leo also, there is no Mangal dosha because that is a benefic planet for Cancer and Leo. Mars, because it rules a trinal house and a Kendra house, so it's a special benefit for them. So actually we have seen that this is not practically valid. In systems approach, Mangalik dosha is valid only for Taurus, Virgo and Pisces rising signs, where Mars is a malefic. For Taurus, it is 12th lord. For Virgo, is it 6th lord, 8th lord. And for Pisces, it is no, it's not for Pisces. For Scorpio, it should be Scorpio in this slide. So Taurus, Virgo and Scorpio. For the natal charts with ascending sign Virgo, Scorpio and Taurus, where Mars is a functional malefic planet, it can generate the results of so-called Mangalik dosha when it is closely or exactly afflicting the most effective point of the house and the lord of the house where Mars is placed. So there is a correction in the first line. It's valid only for Taurus, Virgo and Scorpio, not Pisces. For Pisces, it is the second lord. In systems approach, there is no exception to this rule. When Mars is a functional malefic, then it creates Mangal dosha when it is placed in these houses or afflicting these houses. The only safeguard can be the close benefic impact of Jupiter or Saturn when they are benefic and near the MEP and aspecting the houses of marriage, they generate good result and they can neutralize the impact of Mars. The close affliction of FMP or MMP on houses or their lot signature can generate Mangalik riding. Even when, I'm saying the last para in bold says that even when Mars is benefic, but the close affliction of MMP, the most malefic planet or a functional malefic planet on the houses or their lots can generate Mangalik like that. They will not be called Mangalik, but the results can be like that. So that's all in this video. We will discuss some more. There are so many issues on marital aspect. We will discuss some more in future videos. Thank you. Thank you.